You reach the end of a packed day and realize you can list everything you completed, but not what you felt. Nothing is obviously wrong, yet nothing feels fully present either. Your inner life has become a muted tab running behind the work. If you are among people who understand their schedule better than their inner state, ask what this experience is responding to and what would make it more useful. That question opens a better conversation than another quick judgment about your personality. People sometimes reduce feeling emotions again to being cold, ungrateful, emotionally defective, or incapable of caring. That conclusion is too small to explain the experience. Emotional awareness can fade when attention is organized around getting through the next task, preventing conflict, or staying functional. Feeling less may be a form of protection or overload, not proof that your emotional life disappeared. The behavior can make sense without being ideal, and understanding its purpose does not excuse every consequence. There is no single personality type behind feeling emotions again. Temperament learning, stress relationships, culture, and practical circumstances can combine in different proportions. Treat this explanation as a framework, not a diagnosis, and keep only what matches the evidence of your life. Start with one possible mechanism. Constant task switching can keep attention pointed outward until subtle feelings are noticed only as exhaustion. Hold this first explanation lightly and compare it with what your body choices and energy actually do. Compare this first clue across several situations before deciding what it means. Watch how that looks in a workday. A friend asks how you are, and you describe your workload because facts are easier to access than feelings. In the first scene, the need beneath the behavior matters more than how the behavior looks from outside. Read the first scene through need timing and aftermath rather than appearance. A second layer is easy to miss. If emotion once created conflict, you may have learned to move quickly into analysis humor or caretaking. The second explanation becomes useful only when the same conditions repeatedly produce a similar response. Use the second clue only if it predicts more than one response. The experience becomes clearer in private. You become irritated over a minor mess, then realize your body has been carrying disappointment all afternoon. The private scene reveals whether the response brings genuine recovery or merely delays discomfort. Use the private example to compare real recovery with delayed discomfort. The third piece concerns attention. Some feelings arrive first as pressure temperature, heaviness, restlessness, or the urge to leave. For the third explanation, distinguish what you observed from the meaning you assigned afterward. Keep observation and interpretation separate while testing the third clue. Social situations add another clue. A song suddenly brings tears not because the song created everything, but because it opened a door you had kept busy. The social scene shows what happens when belonging, visibility, or another person's expectations enter the equation. Let the social example reveal the extra weight of belonging and visibility. Another part appears under pressure. Using only broad labels like good, bad, or stressed can hide important differences between disappointment, fear, grief, anger, and loneliness. This fourth possibility matters most when pressure changes the intensity, timing, or cost of the response. Pressure is the comparison point for the fourth clue. Now place the same response inside a stressful week. You agree to another request and notice the resentment only hours later when there is no room left in the day. The stressful week example separates a stable preference from a temporary response to depleted capacity. Use the stressful example to check whether depleted capacity changes the response. A final mechanism helps explain repetition. Waiting for a dramatic emotional breakthrough can make ordinary low-volume feelings seem too small to count. The fifth explanation should increase choice. Discard it if it only supplies a more sophisticated insult. A useful fifth clue creates options instead of another fixed identity. One final scene separates a trait from a trap. During a quiet weekend, the numbness feels louder because productivity is no longer covering it. The final scene asks whether the behavior remains flexible when circumstances, energy, or relationships change. Let the final example test whether choice remains available as circumstances change. To make the emotional awareness pattern more precise, compare three conditions: a rested day, a depleted day, and a day spent with people who feel safe. Notice whether the response changes in speed, intensity, or cost. If it shifts with context, the context belongs in the explanation. That comparison prevents one difficult moment from becoming a permanent identity. Look for a counterexample to emotional awareness as carefully as you look for confirmation. Remember a time when the usual response did not happen, happened less strongly, or ended sooner. Ask what was different about preparation, energy, environment, expectations, and support. A counterexample reveals the conditions that make greater choice possible. The hidden cost of emotional awareness deserves equal honesty. Disconnection matters when it persists, narrows relationships, removes pleasure, or leaves you making decisions without access to what your body has been signaling. Preserve whatever the response protects, connects, restores, or clarifies. Change the portion, reducing freedom, straining trust, or moving you farther from what you value. Start by observing the pattern. Pause for 1 minute and name 3 body sensations before trying to name an emotion. A second step is practical. Use a wider emotion list and choose the closest word without demanding perfect certainty. Third, make the change specific. Ask what happened immediately before your energy changed. Sequence can reveal what analysis missed. Fourth, make the new response repeatable. Make room for small doses of feeling through music, walking, journaling, art, prayer, or a trusted conversation. Fifth, use support carefully. When emotion rises, stay with it briefly without building a courtroom case for whether you are allowed to have it. Sixth, review what actually happened. Translate awareness into one proportionate action such as resting, speaking, honestly asking for space, or changing a plan. Finally, know when more support is needed. If numbness is persistent, severe, or connected to major distress, seek qualified professional support rather than forcing a breakthrough alone. The goal is not maximum emotion all day. Healthy awareness includes moments of neutrality, focus, distance, and choice. It is not constant intensity. Flexibility means choosing among several responses instead of being pushed into one move. An understandable response does not have to become the only move available. Try one 7-day experiment designed for emotional awareness, but do not repeat a generic ritual every day. Choose one relevant action, use it in a real situation, and record the outcome. Keep revise or discard the experiment according to evidence rather than guilt. Tonight you may not discover one perfect word for everything inside you. Start with warm, tight, heavy, open, restless, or tired. The return of feeling is often not a flood. It is a signal becoming audible again. The goal is not a new label. It is enough understanding and flexibility to make a more deliberate next choice.